There you go. Oh, I'm live. Hold on, everybody. I gotta go grab something to drink before I get Davey and Gina. It's convenient to have your. It's convenient to have your refrigerator close when you do these things. All right, I'm back. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is the second one in the series of Black-owned breweries that are going to be featured in our event on the 19th of February, 2 to 5. Tonight we have Patuxent Brewing Company with us. Next week we have Urban Garden from DC. The following week we have, I'm going to screw this up. I believe it's Liquid Intrusion. And I'm going to have to ask Gene and Dave where those guys are from. I think they're Southern Maryland someplace. And then the last Tuesday, right before the event, we will have Black Viking on. So we'll be wrapping it up with Black Viking. But I want everybody to come out and support these guys, hear their stories on the 19th. It's going to be running from 2 to 5. We'll be joined by Joyhound. And I think, and I'm not 100%, and we'll ask next week, I think maybe a couple other folks from DC are coming with the Urban Garden folks. So anyway, without much further ado, we're gonna head on down to Waldorf, Maryland, and hang out with my main men right here. Here we go. We got Gene Lott and we got Big Dave, the brewer at Patuxent Brewing Company. What's happening, gentlemen?
Hey, what's going on, Rob? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm gonna crack this beer. It's a little Oktoberfest beer. It's been hanging out. Still
there
good. Still good. Terrific beer from up in Vermont from Von Trapp. So nice. If I break out in some Sound of Music songs about halfway through, I've had a few. So anyway, evening, gentlemen. How's things going?
Man, it's going good. We living the life, trying to weather this storm, see what snow we're going to get this weekend, and make sure everything is good and tight for the brewery since we open up tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Everybody in the Waldorf area, we're going to have these guys give the address or head on down there and support these guys. Bring home some Crowers, some 4-packs of some of their beers to weather the storm with. So head on down there tomorrow. You guys open tomorrow?
Yes, we open tomorrow from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And come on down to 70 Industrial Park Drive, Suite 2A. You'll see the flashing lights on the window and the big open sign. And you'll see my smiling face tomorrow.
Nice.
And then Friday, you'll see Davy's smiling face tomorrow. On Friday, if it doesn't snow too bad.
He'll be there because he'll be brewing some good stuff up, and he'll be like slinging those suds to get people to get through that storm.
Definitely.
That's what we want to see. So anyway, you guys give us a little background on Patuxent.
All right, you want to start, Dave? Oh my gosh.
We got this.
All right,
Dave's just there to look good, man. You know that.
What are we? We're like in year 4 now? About year 4. So
really?
About 3.5. Yeah, I mean, time flies when you're making beer and drinking beer, literally. But just a quick story about us at Patuxent. It all started with Davey and his dream, as we all like to say. I'll give you the abridged version. Basically, he got kicked out of his house because he was brewing in the kitchen to the garage, and got kicked out of the garage and into a farmer's market. And then from the farmer's market, that's where, as we call Davey the Godfather, he basically recruited everybody else. It was like, come on, we're starting a beer company. And it was great because down here in Charles County and in Waldorf, it was something that pretty much never happened since God knows when. They've never really actually had a craft brewery down here.
Right.
So, we were the first. And with that was a journey where we had to go through a lot of different things to get to where we were legally and personality, and to understand exactly what we were, that we weren't just another bar that you come to, that
right.
we're actually a tourist destination, and that craft, just being in craft beer is actually a lifestyle for the most part, you
right.
know? So getting the community to understand that and to get with it. And I mean, that's where we are now. And now I would actually say we're kind of like one of the pillars of the community. We got our regulars who come in. We got the things we do for the community. You know, we're a base for the community with different meetings and stuff that happen in here that we open our doors up for. And I mean, it's literally just awesome. It's been an awesome experience.
How do you guys know each other originally?
So this is what's funny. All right. In PG County, we all grew up in PG County, right? And in PG County, the degrees of separation is very short.
Right.
So we went to two different high schools, kind of grew up in like the same areas, but not in the same areas. But we all know the same people. And it was just one of those things where it was like literally when I got involved, I was over in Hawaii for work. And my buddy was like, hey, you know, you got a brewery down in Waldorf in Charles County. I was like, no, we don't. You know, so I get back from Hawaii. I go hunt down Davey there at the farmer's market. And like, I'm buying literally beer for like a month at the farmer's market and stuff, right?
Right.
So I was like, it's damn good beer. And then it just so happened we all know the same people I played football with in college, people I grew up with and stuff. And it was just one of those things, like literally a lot of his best friends and good friends were good friends of mine. And it just sort of just clicked like that. And then next thing you know, bam, we're all here.
Nice. That's nice. What were in your younger days, which was probably about a week and a half ago, before you were drinking craft, what were you guys drinking?
Shit.
What was the first beer?
Start with you. Start with you.
I would say when I was younger,
before craft. Yeah, Yingling. And that's another common denominator. It was Yingling. Like that was
nice.
My first experience in the craft beer was Yingling out of a bathtub in College Park at a party.
It was in the bottle still. Yeah. Still in the bottles. You weren't scooping it out of the bathroom.
I'm talking about keg stands. I mean, it shows you how good the party was. I barely remember it, but I just remember picking up Yingling out of a bathtub and like, what the hell is Yingling? You know?
Right.
At least it was a bathtub. We used the plastic baby pool.
Oh shit.
And we had rubber duckies.
The rubber duckies and shit. Well, I'll tell you, in college, you know, they had jungle juice that they put in the trash cans and they put the trash bags in it, and you just dump your raw hand in it, you know, pre-COVID, and you got it. So that's how that's what built our liver. That's what built our livers up to be in the business that we're in now. You know, because growing up, you know, we was drinking 211, you know, that rock gut stuff, you know, and all the other beers that the Black community, you know, kind of grew up with, and that what made us dislike beer, you know?
Right. Do you see that? Like, I see this a lot at the store. I see a lot more people of color gravitating towards craft.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it a lot.
Because I would venture to say, and Dave, you can interject. I would venture to say because a lot of us are experiencing it now at a time where craft beer is blowing up, and now they see us, meaning Patuxent, Urban Garden, you know, all these other guys, they see Black faces drinking craft beer. Look how many craft beer groups, Black craft beer groups we have, you know?
Right.
And you have a lot of us that, you know, that went off to college and got introduced to it and got interested in it, you know, and realized that, hey, there's more to like malt liquor and everything like that, you know, and actually took the culture and made it our own. And that's why now you see it, it's an explosion. It's an explosion, you know?
When you guys would go to breweries, did you guys hit a lot of breweries, like just as a hobby before you really started Patuxent? I mean, it's been 4 years, so I mean, it's pretty. So, you know, did you check out a lot of craft places?
I checked out several, and I can tell you sometimes I was the only brown face in there.
That's what I was going to ask you. Was it? See, obviously I can't relate to this, so I was wondering what that was like.
I mean, put it this way: from the ones that I visited before, you know, I got involved in Patuxent and stuff. It all depended on where you were. Like, you go to Maryland, Baltimore, it was okay. You felt welcome. You know,
Right.
you go to Charlotte.
That's really my point was,
Yeah.
I was like, did you feel welcome, or did you feel, was it a welcoming experience for you, or was it like one of
I would
those
say
things
for
that like,
me, I would say for me again, the ones I visited like in Baltimore or like Frederick and stuff, never really had a bad experience. Yeah,
okay,
you're always gonna feel out of place because you don't see yourself in there. You don't
right,
hear your music per se.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can say that. You might hear our music.
Yeah.
You might hear the music in there.
You know,
You might hear hip hop in there.
and I'm talking about like as far as like Charlotte, like you go down south, you know, it was never like a bad experience like going inside of a bar I wasn't supposed to go into. Now I've been
Right.
in bars I wasn't supposed to go into. It really felt bad, but it's never been that bad of an experience where it's like, man, I got to sit with my back towards the door. I don't know what's going to happen, or you don't really
Right.
feel welcome. But you know, you don't really feel like you belong too, especially when you're just learning craft beer and you're trying to figure out and ask questions. And
Right.
that's one of the things that we try to do here at Patuxent, where we make it so welcoming and open that you feel comfortable asking the questions about the beer, you know?
Right.
Whereas you go somewhere else, it's almost like I equate it to a gun range and you're a first-time gun owner.
Oh, everybody's nice at the gun range.
Yeah. You know, but you go to the gun range or you go to a gun store, and if you say clip instead of magazine, they look at you like you're crazy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or if you don't have muscle discipline, you actually point, it's like the end of the world. You know, it could be, but it's like the end of the world. But here at Patuxent, you know, we just try to make it a welcoming experience where every time you come in, we're going to walk you through the beers. We're going to talk to you about the beers. We're going to ask you, what do you think? You know, what don't you like? You know, and if you go on Google, you'll see people will say that, like, oh man, they actually sat down and talked about the beer, you know, and that's one of the things we like to do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like that's probably a big impediment to people of color going into a lot of these places where they don't feel particularly comfortable, and you can get some pretty snooty ass people.
Oh yeah, beer snobs
in breweries.
Yeah, you got,
you know what I mean? Like they don't really want to give you the time of day, and it make you feel like kind of a dummy if you don't know what's up.
Right.
If you don't know the even like the most basic thing, you know.
Yep. And again, that's beer snobs, you know. And
right.
You got those beer snobs, and to us, we're definitely not like that. And that's the thing that we don't want to be like, is beer snobs, because again, we get a lot of people of color, a lot of our people that come in here that we know don't like beer, but they want to come support us. So it's like, all right, let's give you the experience and let's show you and let's educate you on beer, because you probably wouldn't get it anywhere else if you were to go.
Right, and then they become fans because you're so open about your product, you're so open about the process and things like that.
Right.
That then once people have that understanding, I feel like they'll become beer fans. And you guys are really good. Like when I was down there, you guys were really good about that. And that was probably a couple years ago now.
Yeah,
seems like a long time ago.
Oh, the tap room was totally different. You got to come in.
Yeah, man, I gotta head down there for sure. So tell us about your beers a little bit. We'll have Davey do this. What, Davey? He's got that 301 pale that I know he loves. It's just this close to an IPA, right, buddy?
Oh, extremely close to IPA. Really close. The beer styles, man. I truthfully make what I like. This is what it is, you know. You do have certain guidelines you're supposed to follow and stuff like that, but it's beer at the end of the day. So this is what it is.
Definitely.
So the pale ale is the flagship, and that is actually getting ready to be kind of put out in market in a little bit, correct?
Yes, sir. Hopefully it'll be done towards the end of the month. We should have it out. Well, the beginning of putting it out there.
Yep.
That's awesome. So Calvert's doing that. So, and so that beer is, what is that beer ABV wise? I can't quite remember.
It's like 6.5, 6.7.
All right. So it's just short of being an IPA.
Yeah, it's pumped up there. It's pumped up there, and it's right on the borderline, you know?
So my question, I'm interested in this because you guys obviously have it in the tap room, obviously. And so when people come in, what do you start them? You don't start them with that beer if they're not familiar with beer, right? What do you start them with?
So mostly now we're starting with the seltzers, you know.
Okay.
So when people come in, you know, and that's another thing, because 301 is like our flagship, and because it's so close to an IPA, literally it's not going to bust you upside the head like an IPA or like our West Coast Oops, for example, you know.
Right.
So 301 can actually be a good starter, but sometimes the way I line up our flights is like, hey, I want to give you the best last. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
put it like somewhere in the middle. But normally when people come in, we'll start them off with our seltzers or our Oops series, you know, and depending on, you know, what time of year are we in, whether or not we have some of our ambers or anything like that. But mostly it'll start with our seltzers, and that's because our seltzers aren't like your regular seltzers. and right now our seltzers are like a hit year round, you know, and that's just because we hate seltzers, right? like Davey wanted to avoid doing the whole seltzer thing, but what happened was we had a lot of husbands coming in who were bringing their wives,
right?
And the wives were feeling left out, and you know we got tired of sending them to the water fountain and stuff, you know. So Davey was like, "Well, look, if we're gonna do seltzers, we can't do what's out there now because you know, no shame on anybody else, but what's out there now, seltzers is just like blah, you know." So it's
and they're all the same flavors. They're either like basically the same flavor, or they're so bizarre. You're like, why would anybody drink this?
Exactly. So we try to have fun with our seltzers. We said it needs more flavor, and it needs a little uptick in alcohol content, you know. So we try to have fun with it. So we had one seltzer that was awesome this summer called Landover, to the area that we were from. So it was a strawberry seltzer on steroids. So lots of strawberry flavoring, all right? And it was almost like you were drinking like Rock Creek Park strawberry soda, you know? And that's something we drank when we were kids. And the thing about it is, it's like when they're drinking it, they're like, it's so good. Next thing you know, they're like, oh my gosh. Like, I
get a buzz.
Yeah, you get a buzz from it. You know, and like right now, what's a hit is our Mai Tai flavor seltzer. You know, so we have a Mai Tai flavor. And we have a Rah-Rah Rita. Well, the whole series of seltzers are called Rah-Rah Ale. And basically, we have a Rah-Rah Rita, which is like a margarita one. You know, so we got people taking them home and experimenting. And then we also have a mixture we came up with in-house that our buddy AB, shout out to AB, that he came up with that we call the Frank Lucas. It's whatever seltzer we have, you mix it together. All right?
Oh, nice.
And you just get the Frank Lucas. So you get all these different flavors. And that's what people like about our seltzers is that, wow, it's so much flavor to it, you know?
Right. But now, like your Red Rooster is out, and that's an amber. So would that be like one of the starter beers?
Yeah, definitely a starter. Definitely a starter because you're gonna get that beer, and it's like, all right, the first thing you're gonna notice off of the break, and at least to me, in my flavor, and my tongue, and my taste buds, is almost like a slight hint of caramel.
Okay.
You know, and it's like they like the color when they see it. It's smooth going down. It's not bitter. So the first time they drink it, you know, the first time you drink an IPA, straight up IPA, you're gonna be like,
you know? That's what I mean. Like, you don't want people coming in and like that's their first impression and being like, I can't drink anything in this joint.
Exactly. You want to just start off slow. So like they'll drink that, and sometimes they'll get stuck. They'll be like, oh, I don't want to try anything. I want this one, you know. And we had that happen a couple of times this past weekend. You know, they got stuck. I'm like, hey, we got some other stuff right here, you know?
Right.
Excuse me. But definitely that would be a starter beer for anybody who would come in.
Okay.
And that is actually named after Kevin's dad. His nickname, yep. So Kevin, our other co-owner, his dad's nickname is Rooster, and that's his beer.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Nice. So what else is on draft now?
We have our Oops. So, you know, and explain our Oops series, which is another hit. So basically, when we're brewing, whatever we have left over, whatever we want to experiment with, we put it in our oops category. Whenever we messed up on something, and then we got to go back and dry hop it.
Dry hop it a little different.
Right. It's our oops series.
Oops, too many hops.
Right. Oops, too many hops. So it's 2 versions of oops. We have regular oops, and then we have big oops. And big oops is like a real fuck up. Sorry. Or it's like hoppy as all hell. All right, we've been sipping, but big oops is like, oh man. So if you like hops, 9 times out of 10, it'll be a big oops.
Okay.
You know? And some cool stuff has come out of oops. Especially, Carol Baskin's Tropical IPA. That came out as a oops. We had another IPA that came out called Unity. That was a oops. You know?
That was an oops beer?
Yes, that was an oops beer. It was an oops beer, and we were playing around with just some different recipes and stuff. And we was like, damn, you know, we actually don't want to put this in the oops category because it's pretty good. You know? And oops is just one of those things when you're playing around and you really don't write nothing down. And you're just like, you know, Davey going in there freestyling.
Salt band.
Like a little bit of that.
He's like this.
little salt band.
You know, and that's the oops, you know.
He's like the oops bay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
He's
then
in there with the hops doing this.
And then it's just a chance for us to you know, just get around and play around. Yeah, the experiment. I mean, the experiment. The thing is, we're still a small company, so we can't waste any beer.
Right, exactly.
No, it's going to be something. You know, definitely can't waste any beer. So you know, we have
how big a system do you have, Dave?
3 barrel.
Okay, so it's definitely small.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I've been there, so I know it. I know it's a pretty small spot.
And just like David said, we started out on a 1 barrel. So I think when you came down here, we were still in our 1 barrel system.
You're probably still doing the 1 barrel.
Yeah.
Because I think you only had a couple beers on from what I remember.
Yep.
I'll have to go back and look. At the. I have pictures somewhere.
Yep.
Of coming down there.
1 barrel sitting up like a trophy to kind of like remind Davey and stuff where we came from, you know? Because as soon as you go back into the work area, it's like right there. So you see it. It's like, there it is.
Well, sooner or later, what he'll end up doing when he gets bigger, he'll use the 3 barrel system for all the one-offs, and then when 301 becomes the big hit, and a couple of the other ones, Rooster, 301, and you get on the shelves everywhere, then he can go back to making oops in the 3 barrel system when he has a bigger system. That's the goal, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there it is.
So tell me about. You're the only I think you're the only brick and mortar 100% black owned brewery, maybe in the DMV. Am I right about that?
As far as our research goes, and we're 99.9% sure that yes, we're the only 100% minority owned brick and mortar brewery in basically the DMV. Yes. In the last couple of years, have you seen a big growth in black-owned breweries? So we've seen a big growth, and now it's beginning to a point where you got to give it another name. A big growth in black-owned beer brands.
Right.
And when I hear brewery, I think of what we are: brick and mortar. You're making it in here. You can drink it out of here.
Right.
You know, and that's what I think of. Brands, I think of, you know, you don't have the brick and mortar. You have the recipe, and then you're going to, you know, you're going to the kitchen and making it and pushing it right out immediately.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, and that's where I draw the divide, kind of. Everybody a brewer, brewing company, but you have like the beer brands, and then you have the actual breweries.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, it's. I don't know if there's a new focus on black-owned businesses, or it's just there's more for people to. There's more out there, but I feel like there's a lot more people of color that are consumers of craft.
Yeah, and it is, especially in the DMV, you know. Because, again, if you go back and look at these different groups. And I mean, even we did a festival this past summer, the Black Greek Fest.
Okay.
And that was literally like the first time most of us got together. Us, Joyhound, Soul Mega, Sankofa, you know, we were like, you know, really like the first four. That was the first time we really all got together. And, you know, with the help of Black Brew Movement, which is totally excellent. We love those guys. And it was amazing. And just the love that you saw, you know, because with this generation that's coming up now, they're more outside of the box. You know, They're more willing to try it. They didn't come up how we were and how we came up with bad beer. You know, They came up in an environment where they were more willing to try different things, especially those that went to college and higher levels of education, where they were more exposed to it, where necessarily we weren't that exposed to it. You know what I mean? Now, we were exposed to a lot of liquor, we can tell you that. You know? But they were exposed to a lot of things that we weren't exposed to, so now it's like it's really blown up. And then I will even venture to say, with our generation, when we got to a point financially where we can go out and buy craft beer, because craft beer is not cheap.
Right.
You know, and that's why a lot of times we went to the Bud Lights and the cheaper stuff, because we were broke college students or broke college graduates,
right.
You know, trying to make ends meet, you know. But now that we're all at a point financially and in our lives that we're able to go out and experiment too, that's how you're getting into craft beer, you know, and it's amazing and it's blowing up, you know. But then, and me and David was just talking about this a while ago. We always talk about it. We see now the explosion of the beer brands versus the actual breweries and brick and mortars, because with us, there's a lot of overhead. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do.
Right.
You know, not only do we have to brew the beer, you got to worry about the lights, you got to worry about the water bill, you got to worry about exactly. You got to worry about the environment, you got to worry about the vibe of the place. There are a lot of things you got to worry about. You go beer brand route, you worry strictly about taking a turn from my man Drew, the liquid. You know, you got to worry just about the beer and where you're going to sell it. And the marketing. And that's it. You know?
Right.
So it's kind of easier to start off that way.
But then also, like, when we got started, we kind of took the old school approach to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I said, it's a lot easier to contract brew and get your brand out there quickly.
Mm-hmm. Whereas when we started,
I feel like a space like yours, I feel like the number one thing about it is it's very community oriented.
Yes.
So I know you guys did that podcast where you were featuring local businesses on your podcast, and I guess that's coming back. So I think it's important to have a brand like yours where it brings people of color and people of every color together in one space to see what's going on. And I know you guys do a lot of community stuff, which is good. So I'm hoping what happens with like Drew with Liquid Intrusions, and I guess Urban is probably mostly brewed it right proper, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think she brews it right proper. And those, I'm hoping eventually they can follow your example where they have a brick and mortar. But I mean, real estate's not cheap, especially now. So to find a space, it's really, it's almost, you're right. It's almost like you have to do the brand first and let people see it and market, which is tough too, because there's so many brands now that it's like tough to carve out shelf space on, in most liquor stores. And you guys, I mean, you have a list of liquor stores you are go-to liquor stores for you guys, right?
Yes. So
one comes out.
So currently, and we've posted this on our Instagram, and I believe on our website there is too. Off the Rocks in Baltimore, Cans Filling Station in Baltimore.
Oh, that's a good spot.
Camden Crossing, all the crossings that are up there, we've had our beer at. And then we try to stay local too. Grill 13, those were really the first ones that reached out to us, and when we were getting ready to come out, was like, hey, we want your beer, we got a tap for you, and that's Katie. Shout out to Katie, and let's see, we've had our beer at Boston's down here, and we've had our beer at a couple other spots. Yeah, Brass Tap, definitely shout out to Brass Tap. We are going to be coming down there too. Brass Tap reached out, So, and then the cool thing about it is, since we're our own distributors, we're kind of selective as to where we want our beer, because, hey, you can get our beer at our tap room, but, sometimes our tap room isn't open all the time. So, hey, you can get our beer here too. But it allows us to be selective as to where we want our beer, so we don't really saturate it, And
well, the other good thing about that is like that it's not going into all these spaces,
right,
where they're not necessarily going to treat the beer correctly.
Exactly.
Right? Because this is like Davey sweats his ass off to make this stuff, to make high quality product, and you don't want to mistreat it. You don't want to like throw it in the corner and like getting old and like people not telling people about it and things like that.
And that's why we always say craft beer friendly establishments.
Right.
Craft, not just the mom and pop place, stuff like that, but craft beer, friendly establishments that get foot traffic, where the owners actually know about the craft beer, can explain it, has actually drunk the beer before,
Right.
And those are the spots that we actually like our products to be at,
Right.
Only because we don't distribute, quite frequently, and which is actually cool because we still have a demand for it, and we haven't done a run in a little bit, and that's another cool
it's been a bit.
Yeah,
it's been a bit because we had it at the store a while back. I can't even remember when it was.
And it builds up the anticipation because everybody remembers, oh man, that's some good stuff. So it's like,
I've had people come looking for it, and I'm like, I said, I know they're little, and I think they have a little bit, I mean, you got to pay. It's expensive to make the stuff. So if you're contracting, I say you got to go down there and drink it at their tap room. That's where you got to go. But I mean, you're Waldorf, so a lot of people are like, where's that? especially up by me, you know what I mean? Like people, like I'm like, yeah, it's a little bit of a haul, but it's a worthwhile haul.
And the cool thing about it is, we're actually bringing people to Waldorf, and that's one of the things we do to the county, because you have people that are coming. I like to call it the craft beer trail, that's on their way to Virginia and want to take like the back road to 301, and then they hit Google and it's like, wow, there's a brewery here. Let me stop. And then they end up staying here and don't move. Like this past weekend, we had a couple. They went to DC to REI to go get some skis. They stopped at a brewery, stayed there for about 15, 20 minutes, was driving on their way back home, Googled, and was like, oh man, I want to stop at Patuxent. Oh, we're going to go past Patuxent. Ended up staying here till closing.
Nice.
And it was just because that A, they heard about us, and B, the environment that we have coming in here is so welcoming. And she actually pointed that out, was like, hey, as soon as I came through the door, the first thing you said was, hey, welcome to Patuxent. That's like our thing. We like to say, welcome to Patuxent. And she was just saying that she go visit other places, and it's almost like you should be proud of coming in. Not we are proud of you coming in.
Right.
And I told her that. I said, we are happy that you're coming to visit us, and we're going to make your experience great. It's not going to be the other way around, where you should be proud to be coming to our establishment. And I feel like with so many establishments, it's like that. And going back to what you were saying about the experiences we have going into places, that's kind of like along the lines of what it is. Whereas we should be happy that we're being allowed to come in here,
Right.
And it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. I can see that. And like, there's not, for you guys, I mean, you actually brew the official beer of Charles County. Is this correct?
Yes.
Tell us about that beer.
Sunken Sips. So we partnered with Charles County's first and only female-owned tattoo parlor and art studio, Shop 53.
Okay.
And Sunken Sips is basically based off of the jewel of Charles County. if you like kayaking, there's this place called Mallows Bay. And it has sunken ships that's made into like an estuary. Where, you know, the fish and the animals and stuff. And it's ships from the Civil War, World War I, all these different ships. And it's right there off the Potomac. And basically, you know, a lot of people travel down to Charles County and kayak around those ships and stuff. So we got with them. They did the artwork and everything. And Trinice, you know, she had put the stuff on Facebook, and we did a whole thing, and we asked the residents. Yeah, we asked the residents, like, hey, what type of beer do you guys want if you had an official beer for the county? And it was overwhelmingly, guess what, an IPA. You know,
shocker.
Yeah. So Davey got in there, made a great IPA, and it took off from there. And literally, you know, hopefully once we begin selling it more and stuff, we'll be able to donate some proceeds for the upkeep of Mallows Bay. So we had the county come down. They did like a whole big presentation and stuff. We had a nice party and everything. And it was great. It took off.
That's fantastic. I really like how you guys are like, I mean, I think this is pretty much the case with almost every craft brewery. They're really like, they work hard for the community.
Right.
They try to be people that are in the community, so it's relatable to people in the community, and understand that it's another small business in the community. And I think that's important, and I really think that's important for people to see you guys out and about.
Definitely.
And I mean, my thing about it is, it's awkward for me to use the term Black-owned brewery, because I feel like it's not really necessary.
Right.
It's a brewery. So like that differentiation, I feel like my hope is that sooner or later that goes away.
And to be honest, it took us a long time for us to even acknowledge and say, hey, we are Black owned. You know?
Right.
But it became one of those things where it's like, yeah, we want to put it out there to let people know, yeah, marketing and stuff too. But we don't view ourselves as, hey, the Black owned brewery. We view ourselves as Gene, as Davey, as this is Patuxent. We always say, like, this is one of the most neutralist places you can come to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where we have literally all walks of life come in. And literally black, white, yellow, green, red, everybody sit down here, drink beer, and literally become friends overnight.
You guys know, I mean, beer is pretty much the best unifier of anything.
What you say?
That's what, right? I mean, not everybody, but most people like beer, and most people like meeting people over beer.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just that social aspect of beer that makes it such a unique beverage.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's how I met you guys.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I mean, I think beer will solve a lot of issues. It'll put it like this: you put the world leaders in a room with nothing but beer and no food. Oh, a lot
some
of
301. They're gonna be right there.
Exactly.
a lot of problems.
And look what we got going on now. You put NATO and Russia in the room right now with some beer. We get this whole Ukraine thing.
Salt. What you need to do is just send all of that over there. All the 301.
Yeah,
I won't even take mine. They just send it all over there. And you guys go, here's your beer, solve it.
Everything. Just send it over. Yeah. And I mean, and that's what we want. And I think, but that's why we went the brick and mortar route, you know?
Right.
To have that atmosphere, to have that cheers atmosphere, to not only be takers from the community, but to give back to the community by having an open space, by having space for people to come in, to be able to talk, to be able to mingle, to, you know, be able to share ideas and opinions without being judged, you know,
right.
To be able to hear music, to be able to learn from each other. And that's one thing that we actually learned during the summer, is that we became a space for people of opposite races that might not ever sit down with each other to actually have a space to sit down and learn from each other and to ask questions that you wouldn't normally ask, you know?
Right.
when everything was going on with as far as like the stuff that was going on, you know,
Right.
we don't have to get into details, but you know, we actually had people come out and you know, had conversations with one of our good guys that come through, you know, and he's a very passionate guy. And we had a guy just actually ask, you know, why are you guys so mad? What is it? Like, what's wrong? Like, you know, and ask very serious questions that you wouldn't normally ask, you know?
Right.
And he got some serious answers and he left out there with some understanding, you know? And you only can do that in a place where you know it's safe and you don't feel judged.
Right.
And that's what we have here. And that's why we love, you know, the brick and mortar route. You know, yeah, we could have went the straight brand route and dropped all of our stuff, you know, but we wouldn't be able to have these experiences that we're having here and that we're still having here.
Well, I think the people that are going the brand route, I think that ultimately, and I'll ask obviously when I have, because they're all coming up. I'm sure the Liquid Intrusion folks would really like to have a space.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I think their end game is probably to have a space.
And definitely, you know, shout out to Drew. You know, Drew's our guy. You know, and I gotta tell you one thing. Davey will say about Drew, that Drew reminds Davey of himself. You know, and we met Drew. It was over the summer. We met Drew. He saw a podcast we were on, and Drew came out with his product, and we had a good old time in the back. And literally, it's like, hey, Drew, we're here for you because we've been through the crap. So it's almost like a mentorship type thing that's going on now, you know? And it's like that where, you know, it actually it started when we had the Black Greek Fest, where all the brewers got together. So now it's like all of us, as far as the DMV Black brewers, we're actually together and talking and sharing ideas and stuff, you know? Because it's one thing that, you know, we went through hell. We don't want nobody else to go through hell either. So if we drop knowledge to somebody, we're going to pass that knowledge on and expect them to do it to the next up-and-comer, you know, brewer. You know, and vice versa. And everybody gets to pass knowledge around. And that's the thing, you know. You don't want to hold on to knowledge. You want to give it away. You know what I mean? And you got all these businesses that are now coming together and we're actually talking to each other like, hey, what can I do with this? Hey, you can do this. We experienced that. Blah, 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 you know? And that's where we are right now.
See, I think that's fantastic. I mean, I think that's the spirit of craft beer overall.
Yeah.
But I think in particular for you guys and that group of people that are coming up, I think it's super important.
Definitely.
So I'm excited for our event on the 19th. I'm really excited. I want people to come in. I want people to ask questions. I want people to learn from you guys and everybody that's there. I think it is going to be pretty fun and pretty special. And when I put it together, when I first thought about it, I actually didn't even remember that it was Black History Month. So I think it adds a little bit more importance to folks to come in and learn. I mean, I think it's a learning thing, and I think I'm hoping we get a good turnout.
Definitely.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to try all the beers actually, because I know the Urban Garden folks are bringing theirs and Drew's stuff. I really want to try his stuff. So I'm excited to see all you guys, the Black Viking folks, and I'm pretty sure he has like a surprise for that event. He was like
he might. I don't know, but he might.
Yeah, he texted me the other day and he was like, I think I might have a surprise for that event. So
I'm not letting no cats out the bag. He might. And when you try Drew's stuff, definitely try the lemongrass saison.
I'm curious about that because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big saison guy.
It might change your mind.
Really?
Because I'm not a big saison guy either, but it changed my mind.
It's that yeast. You know the yeast they use?
Yes. But I will be remiss, Rob, if I didn't mention, and Davey is being a little humble right now. You know we did the Black is Beautiful last year.
Yes, with Heavy Seas.
Yes, and it did win a national award. Yes, a national award that we do have on our wall.
Nice.
It was the best East Coast spice beer. And what competition? That was the oh, you gotta go look at the plaque. But we did win the best East Coast spice beer. You know, we did the vanilla chai stout.
Right.
Yeah, and definitely
That was great.
Yeah, if you got one in your fridge, don't drink it. Hold on to it. You know, we tell people that we got a couple of guys that's been holding on to theirs. And literally, it was awesome beer.
Yeah, that was a great beer.
Shout out to Heavy Seas on that one. That was a great partnership with them.
Yeah, for sure. I know they were super proud of that themselves. So because I see Hugh pretty often. He comes in every once in a while. So what's the plans coming up for you guys? I know you're going to be with us in a few weeks, but what else is happening? What else you guys got on the burner?
On the 24th, we will be down at Brass Tap National Harbor. We're in the planning stages for that. We're going to get all the minority Black DMV brewers down there again, and we're going to set up, and we're going to have another good time. So if you couldn't make it out on the 19th, we're going to be down on the 24th. You know, so definitely that's another thing we got planned going on. We got another festival in May down in St. Mary's called Overflow. And
really? What's that?
So that's the Southern Maryland or St. Mary's chapter, the NAACP. They put together like a little jazz festival called Overflow. So they have wineries, and we were supposed to do it last year, but there was a storm and it literally flooded the whole park. So it was
shit.
Yeah, we couldn't. Couldn't use it. So we're going to be going down there to make up that date, and they're going to do it again. So they're going to have a couple of jazz bands, live bands out there, about 8 or 9 different wineries, and we're going to be the beer out there.
Sweet.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
Definitely. And then just
put everything in 10-ounce cans if you got beer in St. Mary's County, though. Yeah,
St. Mary's is a whole other beast, man. But and just rocking it out here at the tap room, you know, trying to do some different things. And that's one thing when we do have a chance to leave the tap room is to go visit other breweries, go on Instagram, and just see what everybody else is doing and see what we can bring back here to make our experience even better.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I love talking to you guys. I'm super excited for our event. I'm honored that you guys said you would come and do it. I'm honored you would come on with me tonight.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, man, you guys are awesome. I'll make my way down there sooner than later, I hope.
All right, come on down. Hey, there's plenty of hotels and stuff. You know, if you need to just rush the head, we got.
I'll just bring a cot as long as you guys close the doors. I know you guys keep the doors open because of the COVID thing. You just close the doors. I'll be fine. I'll just bring an extra binky.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
All right, my brothers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Definitely.
See you guys soon. Be safe. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, have a good one.
You too. See ya. I love those guys. All right. Well, next week we are actually talking to the folks at Urban Garden. That is a Tuesday night. It's I think it's February 1st, actually. Yeah, February 1st. So Urban Garden next week. And then the week after that, Liquid Intrusions. And then we're finishing up with Black Viking. And then everybody's going to be with us come the 19th in the store. It's going to be a live tasting thing. So I would love for you to come, learn these people's stories, try their liquid. It's going to be a really good time. So the more the merrier for that event. So thank you everybody for watching, and I'll talk to you all next Tuesday.